Welcome to Math in the 151 with Mr. Harvey. Today, we're going to explore the idea that decimals and fractions are the same number, but just written in a different way. In this video, we are going to convert decimals into fractions. In the next video, we're going to convert fractions into decimals. These skills are going to help us when we start to add, subtract, multiply, and divide rational numbers. It will also help with proportions and percentages, which we'll get to later. Before we begin, we will need to review place values because it will help us understand the process of converting decimals to fractions. We also need to remember what a number is. A number is an amount of something and tells us how much we have. So here we go. When we start counting, we normally start at the beginning with the number 1 and then continue all the way to 9. We call these numbers our ones since they are in the first place value, and we count by 1 each time. If we add 1 more, the 1 gets moved to the next place value, and now we have the number 10. If we count using this new place value, we would now be counting by tens. This concept continues through the place values. After the tens, we have hundreds and then thousands and so on. Now let's look how this relates to decimals and fractions. Notice we need 10 tens to get to 100, and you need 10 ones to get to 10. So what do we need to get to 1? Since 1 is whole, we actually need a fraction to get to 1. These fractions will help us build the number 1. And this is where the concept of decimals comes from. When we say decimal, we really just mean fraction, but we're using the powers of 10. And that works perfectly in our place value system. We use a decimal point to separate our whole numbers from our fractions or our decimals. The first place value after the decimal point is called tenths. This means it takes 10 pieces to create just one whole. Next is the hundredths, and you guessed it, it takes 100 pieces to create just one whole. Then the thousandths, and so forth. Now that we reviewed place values, let's see how this is going to help us convert our decimals into fractions. There are 3 easy steps to follow. Say it, write it, simplify. For example, the first step, just say the number. Since the 7 is in the tenths place value, this number is 7 tenths. This means 7 out of 10. Second step, write out what you said. 7 tenths, 7 out of 10, or 7 over 10. Step 3, simplify. Oh, it's already in simplest form. This decimal has successfully converted from a decimal to a fraction. 7 tenths is 7 tenths. Here is another example, 0.28. Even though this is a fast way to say this number and most people will understand you, I recommend using the place value to say the number to help you to convert it into a fraction. The 8 is in the hundredths place value, so the first step is to say it. 28 hundredths, meaning 28 out of 100. Second step, write it down. 28 over 100. Third step, simplify. To simplify, we need a common factor. It is normally best to find the greatest common factor, which is 4. 28 divided by 4 is 7, and 100 divided by 4 is 25. So the fraction from 28 hundredths is 7 25ths. So the fraction form of 28 hundredths is 7 25ths. Let's do one more together. 6 and 375 thousandths. Since the 6 is a whole number, we can leave it alone and just look past the decimal. 0.375. The 5 is in the thousandths place value, making this number out of 1,000. So we have 375 out of 1,000. As before, look for the common factors. It is okay if you do not know the greatest common factor. It only makes it easier. Once you have the fraction simplified, don't forget to bring back the whole number. So 6 and 375 thousandths is the same as 6 and 3/8. There are some decimals that are special because they repeat. The repeating decimals were not shown in this video because you have to memorize them. I will talk about it in another video. I want you to try some on your own. Go ahead and write these examples in your notebook. Now pause the video and try them. When you are done, press play and check your answers. Answers will show in 3, 2, 1. So remember, say it, write it, simplify it. Thank you for watching. In the next video, we will convert fractions into decimals. If you can say it, then you know it. If you know it, you can teach it. If you can teach it, you are ready for the test. Make sure you wrote down all of your notes so you can review it later. If you miss anything, you can always rewatch the video. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask in the comment section below and check out another math video or a random video.